Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Unity Spiritual Community in Citrus Heights. Please join us in singing our opening song, which is Stand.
Let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. Let there be love. I am a stand for love. Let there be joy. I am a stand for joy. We are making a new world now. Let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. Let there be love. I am a stand for love. Let there be joy. I am a stand for joy. We are making a new world now. Let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. Let there be love. I am a stand for love. Let there be joy. I am a stand for joy. We are making a new world now. We are making a new world now.
There we go. Good morning, everyone. Welcome on this beautiful May Day. Welcome to Unity Spiritual Community in Citrus Heights. Reverend Carla is off today, and I'm Lisa Lawson. I am the Minister of Music, and I am joined today in music by Melissa Olsen, who has driven out to the adventure in the country to my studio. So we're so glad to have her. So May Day has many traditions. And I don't know if you have participated in these traditions. Sometimes people do maypoles, they dance around and do ribbons. But in my family, when I was a little girl, we made baskets of flowers. And we would make these with construction paper cones, and we drop them off at the neighbor's house, and we would leave them on the step and run away very quickly so that they wouldn't know who had left the flowers. And there was something so beautiful and fun celebrating spring and the generosity and the fun of the moment. And so I invite you to bring that spirit of generosity and fun into this service today and into your day as we move forward into a new week. And now we will begin our service by reading the daily word. Today is Sunday, May 1st, 2022, and the word for today is joy. The word for today is joy. I carry joy in my heart. I carry joy in my heart. Many happy experiences and memories may lead me to feel joyful, but I know they are not the source of my joy. One of my divine gifts, joy, is part of my spiritual identity, as close to me as my next breath. Joy wells up and spills over within me when I bring my awareness to my spiritual nature and to my oneness with all good and all life. It is an attitude I hold in mind and a feeling in my heart. The happiness I feel in life depends on my allowing my inner wellspring of joy to come forth. I nurture my joy by maintaining a regular prayer practice that enhances my awareness of God and by making time for the things that make me happiest. I go into the world grateful for the joy that resides within me, my gift to share generously. And the scripture today is from Isaiah 55:12. For you shall go out in joy and be led back in peace. And so it is. The word for today is joy. And now I'd like to invite Melissa to sing our first congregational song and you to join her. It is Swing Wide the Doors.
Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring out the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. Here we go now. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. I'm not holding it in anymore. I'm gonna shout it out loud. I understand now what I'm here for and what this life is about. It's about love, it's about laughter, it's about comfort and smiles. It's about love, it's about kindness, it's about hearts open wide. It's about love, it's about passion, it's about taking a chance. It's about love, it's about service, it's about lending a hand. About lending a hand. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. There's a voice that I've heard for years. I've learned to keep it inside. Well, now it's coming in loud and clear. I want a deeper life. It's about love, it's about laughter, it's about comfort and smiles. It's about love, it's about kindness, it's about hearts open wide. It's about love, it's about passion, it's about taking a chance. It's about love, it's about service, it's about lending a hand. About lending a hand. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine.
Thank you, Melissa. What a great song. Is that Daniel Nahmad? Yeah, we don't know that one. That's so great. We'll have to add that. All right. So I'm changing back and forth between cameras, so hopefully I'll get it right every time. Let's see. Here we go. Video. Okay. All right. So it's time for our featurette. And I wanted to talk about something that might feel a little uncomfortable. I know it has to me. It's so personal. Maybe that's part of the reason why. But this practice is it's an important part of our spiritual development. It's heart opening and it is life expanding. And it's a foundational practice of our prosperity teaching. And that practice is tithing. Ooh, tithing. So I just wanted to give a little bit of the history of tithing for you guys so you have a little bit of sense of where we've been and where we're going. The definition of tithe is a 1/10 part of something. And historically, a tithe has been paid in kind. in ancient days, such as agricultural produce. That was mostly how tithing was paid. And what tithing was considered to be was a reasonable and just return to God, acknowledging God as the source of supply. We first see tithing in the Bible in the book of Genesis, when Abram, who became Abraham, was on his way home from a successful battle. And the king priest, apparently it was both, Melchizedek, brought out bread and wine, and he blessed Abram. And he blessed him, saying, "Blessed be Abram of God Most High, possessor of heaven and earth, and blessed be God Most High, who has delivered your enemies into your hand." And Abram gave him a tenth of all. This was a voluntary offering of thankfulness. And another time that this concept of tithe is brought up very early in the Bible is Jacob. Jacob had a visionary dream with angels and where he was climbing a ladder. And we see that as to his spiritual highest self. Jacob awoke from his sleep and he said, "Surely the Lord is in this place, and I did not know it." And he was afraid. And he said, "How awesome is this place? This is none other than the house of God, and this is the gate of heaven." And then in his thankfulness, in this wonderful spirit of joy, he set up an altar and he pledged to give a full tenth. Then in the book of Malachi, God says, "Bring the whole tithe into the storehouse, that there may be food in my house. Test me in this, and see if I will not throw open the floodgates of heaven and pour out so much blessing, that there will not be room enough to store it." So I think the thing that we take away from this is that tithing was an expression of thankfulness and of abundance, and it was done out of love and out of the sense of rightness. Judaic law set the amount as a tenth, and this practice was required. The offerings supported the priests and the poor. And then many historical and ancient churches also practiced tithing. Christian churches, even all the way up into the 19th century in the United States. So now the big question is, why should we consider tithing now? Now we have a choice. Does it even make sense to follow this practice? And what does this practice mean to us when we have perhaps different ideas of what God is? God maybe not as this anthropomorphic being separate from us. Maybe God as us, as you, as all good in the universe. How do we comprehend tithing? When I was a child, the offering plate was passed in my church, and I watched week after week my parents let that plate go by and they didn't put anything in it. And it made me really uncomfortable. And I just had this sense that, we didn't have any money. We didn't have enough. But what I didn't understand was that my father was actually the treasurer. And so he probably gave more than I knew. But still, I remember that feeling of not having enough. So tithing, it allows us to step out in faith, and it opens our hearts. It opens us to the magic of what happens as we release to others, and that there's a natural flow, there's a circle and a cycle that brings our good to us as we open to release, and that opens us up to more coming in. Charles Fillmore said in The Revealing Word that tithing is a tacit agreement that one is in partnership with God in the conduct of his or her finances, and that this leads to confidence and to assurance that whatever is done will bring increase of some kind. And a lot of times in unity, we say that we should tithe to our spiritual place of nourishment, but we often think we give to our spiritual community because we believe in it and we want to see it prosper. And we support our leaders, many of whom have given up their previous employment and fully dedicate themselves to this work and rely on us for their support. But a tenth, well, it's really up to you. Eric Butterworth talks about tithing tithing a tenth as training wheels on our way to understanding tithe as participating in the flow of God's good. And he figures that it's easy to calculate. And Jesus did not teach tithing, although it was a Judaic practice in his time that the Hebrew people, they were tithing to the temples. He didn't teach it, though. He taught the spirit of the law and not the letter of the law. He taught through parables and through demonstration. We have the story of the widow who only gave 2 copper pennies, but that was everything she had. And that was so much more than the wealthy ones who perhaps gave so much more. We also have the story of the loaves and fishes, where Jesus he was feeding 4,000 people, 4,000 hungry people who had nothing to eat. They'd been following him for days. And that was all that was in this crowd of people was a couple of fish and about 5 loaves of bread. And he was able to feed the entire multitude. He took what they had, and it was gladly given, and there were baskets of bread left over. So that's what Jesus taught. We see the need, and we open ourselves because we have what is needed to fill that need, and we give with joy. So we see that however we view God, this source, this supply is available to us. It's flowing through us and as we give, we're filled up with plenty. And I know that many of you are regular givers, and that's just, you're already practicing this tithing. And so I just wanted to share my experience when I decided, I took some prosperity classes, and I went ahead and tried 1/10. I did it, and I've done it for years. I've done tithing for years. And I found that giving this percentage, whatever percentage, instead of just a set amount, was fun because I could see it increase. I would calculate how much had been brought in, and I can give this much this week. I could see it coming back to me. And I could also really focus on God this way as central in my finances. As I was tithing, as I was making money, I could see the supply coming back to me. And it would come back to me in an exponential way. Sometimes I would step out in faith, and sometimes I would feel like I was really stepping out on a limb. But I had it, and I was able to give it, and so I did. And it always comes back to me in a clear and sometimes very surprising way, and often exponential. We hear the idea that it comes back to us tenfold or 1,000-fold, or really just as much as we need. That's our supply. It's whatever we need is there for us. So I had things happen like getting a refund check for $600 for my insurance because everybody overpaid for the year. Or perhaps an unexpected inheritance or a pay raise. It's all happened. And it's really fun when it happens after I've just given myself. So we give with joy, and we don't give out of fear or out of obligation. That's not part of it. Giving is a way of life. It's a way of viewing the world. And we give because we practice enoughness. We practice love. And in this practice, we start a momentum of this cycle of giving and receiving that brings it all back to us, and we have more than enough. We give out of our sense of abundance, of our own spiritual power, knowing that it will come back to us 1,000-fold, as much as we need. And this is our divine identity. Charles Fillmore said that the energy of thinking upon ideas of plenty gives us plenty. We have plenty, regardless of what people around you are doing or saying. And I want you to know that here at Unity Spiritual Community, we never evaluate your gifts. It's a totally personal thing between you and God, what you want to give. We just teach these principles because they are truth. They enrich our lives. And we are truly grateful for every offering that we receive, and we appreciate your time and your talents, your love, as well as your financial gifts. And we give thanks for all of the continuing support received here as we minister to our community. So God bless you, and thank you for listening. I would like to invite Melissa to lead us in another song.
I am free, I am unlimited. There are no chains that bind me. I am free, I am unlimited right now, right now. I am free, I am unlimited. There are no chains that bind me. I am free, I am unlimited right now. I am free, I am unlimited. There are no chains that bind me. I am free, I am unlimited right now, right now. I am free, I am unlimited. There are no chains that bind me. I am free, I am unlimited right now. I am free, I am unlimited. There are no chains that bind me. I am free, I am unlimited right now, right now. I am free, I am unlimited. There are no chains that bind me. I am free, I am unlimited right now. I am free, I am unlimited right now.
Thank you, Melissa. And at this time, we take this moment to bring our prayer requests into our circle of consciousness. And we breathe into our hearts this morning. As we know, there are concerns of so many types. We let those concerns float in this morning for ourselves, for those we love, and for the world. We hold these gently. We hold these gently in joy, and we feel our abundance here. We feel all that supports us and supplies us. And we know that this is also available for each one in our community, for our loved ones, for the world. We see this support recognized and felt, enlivening and enriching the lives of all of those we love. We see them healed. We see them enlivened. We see them blessed today, finding right order and power in their lives. We release all of our concerns into the loving care of the Christ Spirit. Thank you, God. Amen. And I'm just going to share a screen for a second so you can see there's our email. If you would like to have a prayer chaplain call you for individual prayer from our church, you are welcome to email us at info@unitycitrusheights.org. You can also leave a prayer request in the box in the lobby when we were at Citrus Heights, at Sylvan Community Center in Citrus Heights. Silent Unity is available for your prayer, and there's also an app, You Pray, where you can request prayer and receive prayer with a prayer associate who's just waiting to pray with you. So I encourage you to do that. And now I would like to invite Melissa to lead us into a time of meditation. Close your eyes and settle into your chair. Begin to release any tension from your body. Imagining a golden light, a warm, thick, golden light streaming down onto your head, flowing slowly like warm honey down the back of your head, onto your forehead and your cheeks, your necks, and your shoulders. Relaxing all of your muscles and enveloping you from head to toe in this warm liquid light. Melt into it, feeling all of your muscles slack and at ease as you enjoy this light's warm embrace. And now I'd like you to imagine that you're in the forest, standing on the bank of a gently flowing stream. And there's a pool of water in front of you where the water's been dammed up and collected. You smell the damp earth and the green things growing. And you breathe in deeply, looking at the stream and the sunlight sparkling on the water. Hearing the sound the stream makes as it tumbles over the rocks. And you can see that as the water tumbles along and you look downstream, there is an outlet from this pool. You see how the water pours into this outlet and follows downstream. And as you look the other way, you see the inlet into the pool, the water constantly flowing, constantly flowing. And you notice the leaves floating on the water as it flows downstream. And as you see the water, you turn your awareness to your thoughts, and you find one that may be troubling you. And you take that thought, and you mentally just put it into the stream. It floats downward with the leaves, floating away from you, further and further and out of sight. And as you watch it, you notice that you feel lighter. And returning to your thoughts, you may notice that there is a situation that is bothering you, something someone said, a circumstance, something you can't change or control. And once again, you see the leaves flowing downstream, and you allow that thought to enter the water and be washed downstream along with the leaves. It floats through further and further away from you, and you notice the relief you feel. As acknowledging your troubling thoughts, you accept them and then release them to the stream of spirit, letting go of your attachment to them and allowing the flow of spirit to fill the place where these troubles once lived in you. Be filled with the gift of peace. And in this peace, we rest now in the silence. Returning now to the present moment, we stay with this sense of peace, and we carry this peace now with us through the day. And so it is. Amen.
Our thoughts are prayers, and we are always praying. Our thoughts are prayers. Listen to what you're saying. Seek a higher consciousness, a state of peacefulness, and know that God is always there. And every thought becomes a prayer. Our thoughts are prayers, the tools that we create with. Our thoughts are prayers that spirit resonates with. Seek a higher consciousness, a state of mindfulness, and know that God is always there. And every thought becomes a prayer. Our thoughts are prayers, and we are always praying. Our thoughts are prayers. Listen to what you're saying. Seek a higher consciousness, a state of peacefulness, and know that God is always there. And every thought becomes a prayer. Yes, every thought becomes a prayer.
Thank you, Melissa. That was so beautiful. Oh, so good to see you all. Good morning. This morning we're talking about elimination. How about we start with a poop joke? No, we're not going to do that. Sorry. Just kidding. But it's inevitable that we'll bring it into our talk today because we're talking about the power of elimination, right? And our physical process of elimination is such a great metaphor for this spiritual process. The power of elimination, our power of elimination, is one of our 12 spiritual powers that we're born with. They're inherent to our being, and they reflect our divine nature. We can call them up whenever we need them, and they can help us to be present and to act as our highest selves. Now, elimination has other names. It has the name the power of release or of renunciation. And there are times when you definitely might want to think of it that way. Let me just get this into the slideshow again. Here we go. So there's a picture. This is a nice chart that shows the various places where we might find these powers seated in our bodies. And these are an ancient concept. They didn't just start with Unity or with our co-founder Charles Fillmore. The power of elimination, you can see, is seated here. It's represented by the apostle Thaddeus. Its color is russet or amber. So its seat in the body is the lower part of the back or the lower abdomen. The dictionary says that elimination is the process of getting rid of something. And its root is the Latin word limen, which means threshold. And there's a very pretty mosaic threshold there. This word limen, became the Roman verb eliminare, which means to banish or to push over the threshold and out the door. So, as Unity metaphysicians, we know that this applies to our thoughts. We could have had this talk during Lent when we were fasting from negative thinking. We could have done that. But we're doing it now, and we're going to go even deeper. So let's look at elimination. If we look at the way that we think of elimination in our world today, we might think of video games, right? In video games or action movies, you want to eliminate the enemy. You want to shoot it. You want to get rid of it. And usually through violence, right? That's how we get rid of our enemies, by getting rid of them. And we could think of our negative thoughts like this, right? We could think of our negative thoughts like an enemy. But isn't that ironic that we think of our negative thoughts with such negativity? How about instead, let's think of elimination as part of our digestive process, because we have this wonderful system in our bodies that allows us to take the nutrients we need from the world and turn it into fuel. And then the rest that comes out, what's left over, is poop. And it's pretty cool stuff, actually. If we thought of poop like a baby, a lot of you have had babies in your lives. You know, sometimes babies like to play with poop, right? And dogs like to eat poop. That's really, really gross, right? It's just, but you know, pretty cool to them. The poop is just the leftover waste products from our body, taking everything we need and releasing the rest. So here's some fun facts. Poop is mostly bacteria. It is 50 to 80% bacteria, excluding water. If we discounted the water, isn't that amazing? It's bacteria that was living in your intestines, and it was ejected with the food that's passing through. And there's also a lot of indigestible plant material in it. And what do we do with it? Well, we make fertilizer that grows new plants. So I'd say that more than anything else, poop is a great part of this creative process of our bodies. Right? Our bodies are always creating, and we create with our bodies. Speaking of poop, do you know what you get when you mix castor oil with holy water? A religious movement. Thanks, Melissa. She's laughing here. I'm so glad because I can't hear you guys. I can just see your faces. All right. Oh, thanks, Brian. That's some good info. So unity tells us that it's necessary to let go of thoughts and feelings and beliefs that no longer serve us in order to make way for new creative ideas and new growth. And this is part of our natural process, right? Hopefully it's not too difficult. Hopefully it's just easy. It's just something that happens. Maybe that could happen with our negative thoughts, right? My husband Michael does this process of elimination in the winter when he prunes the scrub oak and pine trees on our property. Now, he does it in the winter because that's the time that we can burn. And of course, it's not as hot. I'm going to just share some pictures so you can see this process. There is a little tree. That's an oak tree. So they start by looking like either a little tiny tree, like a twig like this. This one may have been pruned already, but probably not. Or they look like these trees after a little while. Bunch of trees, too close together, too many, right? And then he trims off all the extraneous branches up as high as he can reach if the tree's bigger. And sometimes they look pretty bare. There's some that need to be trimmed. Those are big ones that haven't been trimmed. They just look like big bushes. There's one that's been trimmed, pruned, probably for years. It's starting to look like a real tree. It has room to grow. There's another one that he's pruned. This one started as a little twig when we bought our property, just a couple little twigs. And over the years, he pruned it into this beautiful shape. The trees grow much bigger. They're protected from fire, and eventually they may even look like this. This one came up on its own outside our house in our courtyard. So plants are, and seeing what needs to be thinned and what needs to be pruned are a good example of elimination. So another way to look at elimination would be the process of elimination. With the process of elimination, we look at all of our choices, and sometimes we may have a hard time knowing what's the best way. But by the process of elimination, we gradually get rid of the things that are less desirable until we come to the best choice. And that is also a process of release. And you maybe have heard of the elimination diet. With the elimination diet, we take out the most likely foods that are giving us problem and add them back one at a time to see if we have a reaction. So instead of eliminating the enemy, let's just sit with elimination as these creative processes. So important. You see, as Charles Fillmore, Unity's co-founder, says, that at the heart of elimination is big-heartedness and love. He says in the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary that love, tenderness, and fearlessness seem to be the dominating characteristics back of proper elimination for mind and body. That's love, tenderness, and fearlessness. Fear, hate, revenge, and the like cause resistance and tension in the consciousness and the organism, thus shutting off elimination, while love puts away fear and is of a softening, releasing, freeing, and balancing nature. Wow. How can we want to let go of our thoughts and ideas if we're not filled with love? If we see it as a process of destroying the enemy? Those thoughts themselves may be ideas that we feel are nurturing or supporting us. We may love them. But it may be time for them to go. I have an example from my own life. I'm challenged right now by the idea of letting go of part of my music career because I love ministry, and sometimes the passion within me just doesn't seem like it fits together to be able to do everything that I'm doing. And when I look at this, letting go of things from the past as releasing something negative, and when it has negative feelings around it, this process is definitely not pleasurable and relaxed. I have anxiety about it. I wonder if I'm doing the right thing. So I've been thinking about this and thinking that maybe I just need to be filled with love for all of it. And that this natural process of creation or digestion and what must be left behind just will happen naturally as things are released, and it feels good. For instance, if I have a belief that producing a concert is stressful, and I spend a lot of time thinking about how stressful it is, and I become all bound up about that obligation, it's just unpleasant all around. But instead, I might practice a denial of this thought. Say, I give no power to the thought that producing a concert is stressful. I give no power to that. I release this thought. I accept the joy of the creation and accept or release my obligation. I affirm that every part of this process is pleasurable, and it is easy to let go of what I no longer need. If we hesitate to release what we don't need, we become bound up. It's like my friend she told us one time after she had car trouble that she never changes her oil. She only adds oil to her car when it gets low. Can you imagine everything in that oil? Because, oil lubricates the engine, right? It's like the blood of the engine. Well, she got a lot of new cars, so I guess that was a benefit of that process. And I love this story from the Hebrew Scriptures. This is the story of Lot's wife that's found in the book of Genesis. Lot was the nephew of Abraham. He lived in the town of Sodom, which we always hear the words Sodom and Gomorrah together because I think they were neighboring towns. And the people in this town were so wicked and depraved that I can't even tell you what they did. It's in the Bible. You can check it out. Except for Lot. And the angels of God decided that town had to be destroyed. And they urged Lot to get out of the city before he was consumed. And they told him to flee for the hills with his wife and daughters, and not to stop anywhere in the valley, and not to look back. And sulfur rained down on the cities. But Lot's wife, she did look back, and she became a pillar of salt. And here's some beautiful pictures. This one is a painting. Shows Lot's wife there. A pillar of salt. And this one I think is pretty cool. When I was searching this is near the Dead Sea. And they say that this is Lot's wife. So cool. And then here's a drawing. The same thing. Sodom and Gomorrah burning in the background, and Lot's wife there. And they made it to the caves, Lot and his daughters. So in this story, Lot represents the part of our consciousness that's still in darkness. And the feminine represents the feeling nature. So sometimes when we're called out of darkness and we cling in our feelings to that which is familiar, we're frozen in our limitations. The salt is a preservative. That's the metaphysical interpretation of it. Lot's wife looked back. She became a pillar of salt instead of moving forward to create a new life. We must let go of old thoughts so that new thoughts can find a place in our consciousness. And like a pool of water, you have to have an inlet and an outlet, letting go of what no longer serves you. We use our 12 powers in Christ consciousness, not in sense consciousness. If we use it in sense consciousness, we might throw things out wastefully or needlessly throw things out of value. But we center into our Christ consciousness through prayer and meditation and turn our minds toward God so that this power of elimination is used in the creation of all good. By entering the silence, our awareness is perfected and our wisdom and our understanding are brought into use so that we know what to prune and what to release. So we end now with a guided process for this release. We go into prayer, centering in the Christ Spirit. In the quiet of thought, I ask for guidance on what and how to let go. I'm aware of what I no longer need, whether it's physical clutter, habits or dependencies, unhealthy boundaries or relationships. I release all that are not for my highest good. Aware of any unforgiveness tethering me to the past, I release, affirming a vital, positive life in the present. All of my experiences have led me to the beauty of today. I let go of negative thinking or limited ideas, especially about myself and my capabilities. I release any doubt and fear. I shed the habit of criticizing others or myself. I continue to release all that no longer serves me, making room for wonderful new friends and new opportunities. As I claim my power to let go, I create space and energy for the new. And so it is. Thank you and God bless you. And I'd like to ask Melissa to sing us another song.
You've got to accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative, and hang on to the affirmative, but don't mess with Mr. In Between. You've got to spread joy up to the maximum, bring gloom down to the minimum, and have faith, or pandemonium is liable to walk upon the scene. To illustrate my last remark, Jonah in the whale, Noah in the ark. What did they do when everything looked so dark? Well, they said you've got to accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative, and hang on to the affirmative, but don't mess with Mr. In Between. No, don't mess with Mr. In Between. To illustrate my last remark, Jonah in the whale, Noah in the ark. What did they do when everything looked so dark? Well, they said you've got to accentuate Punctuate the positive, eliminate the negative, and hang on to that affirmative. But don't mess with Mr. In Between. No, don't mess with Mr. In Between. Don't mess with Mr. In Between.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you, Melissa. Okay. All right, and now we go into our time of offering. We are so very grateful for all of your gifts, which allow us to minister in this world and be present as the community together, because together we are Unity Spiritual Community, and we are what ministers to each other and to the world. So you may make your offerings by sending checks to P.O. Box 2176, Citrus Heights 95611. And or there are donate buttons in our newsletter and on our website. So those are great ways also to make your offerings. So thank you all so much for your offerings. Let us join together in blessing the offerings with our prosperity prayer, knowing that divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I choose to give, and all that I am open to receive. And so it is. Amen. We have a few announcements. The first is that this Wednesday is our Archetypes, Your Chart of Origin workshop. It is on Zoom at 7 p.m. And you won't want to miss this one. I've done this one myself. It is so fascinating. You learn so much about yourself and your place in this world. And so I encourage you to sign up. You can sign up on our website under classes and events. There's a workshop tab. And you purchase the workshop there. But if you prefer not to do that online, please do send us an email note saying that you would like to attend the workshop, and you can pay another way if you like to also. There are handouts that need to be downloaded when you before the class. Several of them need to be printed, and the big one, don't print it. It's 56 pages long. So you're just going to want to keep that for your reference on your computer because it gives larger descriptions of the different archetypes. So please do sign up for that. We'll see you then. On next Friday, the 6th, that's our first Friday meditation on Zoom, and it is focused on the healing affirmations of Myrtle Fillmore. So please come to that. It's a wonderful healing time. Next Sunday, we'll be at Sylvan Community Center. We are having a talk based on a new book by Richard Bach. He wrote the book Illusions, which we've explored in our church. This is Illusions too. So we're looking forward to that. Oh, by the way, if you didn't get our newsletter, it has all the events for the month. Pop me an email or a text, and I will send that to you. Make sure you get on our mailing list. It's a lot to remember. We have a couple other things in May. We have our Life Loves You class that I'll be teaching. This is based on the book Life Loves You by Louise Hay and Robert Holden. It is exploring how life supports us in every way and helps us to change our beliefs surrounding how we're loved and supported in this life. That begins on the 18th of May. It'll be Wednesdays at 6:30 p.m. for 5 weeks. We have a field trip to the Community Observatory on the 27th of the month. And that is all the announcements. So I hope that you will stay and chat so that we can check in together. And let us close now with our peace song.
Weave us together, weave us together in unity and love. Weave us together, weave us together, together and let there be peace on earth each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyful vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with thee.
And we know that the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Go in peace and have a wonderful week, and please stay for the Stay in Chat.
We got a good thing going on around here. We got a good thing going on around here. You can see it on each and every face. There's a sweet, sweet spirit in this place. We got a good